What's that dirty black blood doing in my lobby?
Derek Caldwell snatched a glass of red wine off the catering cart and blocked her path.
Hey, I just wanted to...
Wanted to what? This ain't some refugee camp for your people. Get out!
Then he tipped the glass. Red wine splashed down her white blouse like a blood stain. She gasped.
Now drag yourself out before I call the cops on you.
She looked down at the wine soaking through her shirt. She looked at the guests, pretending not to see. She looked at Derek, still holding that empty glass, still grinning. Then she walked out. But here's the thing about this woman. Derek Caldwell had just made the biggest mistake of his career. He just didn't know it yet.
Whew. All right. Rewind. Let me tell you how this whole mess started. 36 hours earlier, Gloria Hamilton stood barefoot on the cold tile floor of her penthouse suite. Sunrise crept through floor-to-ceiling windows, painting the room in soft orange. The smell of fresh coffee drifted from the kitchen counter. She held a ceramic mug in one hand and a stack of papers in the other. The papers were the final acquisition documents for the Bellworth Hotel. Gloria was 44 years old, CEO of Hamilton Sterling Group, 14 boutique hotels across the East Coast, a portfolio worth north of $400 million. Forbes had profiled her twice. The Wall Street Journal called her the quiet force reshaping American luxury hospitality. But none of that mattered this morning. What mattered was the complaint report sitting on top of that stack. She read it out loud to herself. A guest at their Savannah property had waited 40 minutes for room service. 40 minutes. Gloria circled the number in red ink and set it aside. She read every single guest complaint across all 14 properties, every morning, 7 days a week. Had done it for 12 years straight. Her phone buzzed. Vanessa Cole, Chief Operating Officer, best friend since college. "You're still coming to Charleston today?" Vanessa's voice was sharp, already in work mode. "Flight lands at noon," Gloria said, "but I'm not going straight to the Bellworth." "Gloria, please don't tell me you're doing the walk-in thing again." "I'm doing the walk-in thing again." Vanessa sighed. She knew exactly what that meant. Gloria had a rule. Before she set foot in any new property as the owner, she visited first as a nobody. No entourage, no designer clothes, no name badge. Just a black woman walking through the front door to see how she'd be treated. She'd started this practice 8 years ago, after buying a hotel in Virginia. She'd walked in wearing a sundress and sandals. The front desk clerk had asked if she was there to apply for a housekeeping position. Gloria bought the hotel, fired the clerk, and rewrote the entire staff training manual that same week. "It tells me everything I need to know about a property," Gloria told Vanessa. "If they treat me like a guest, we're in good shape. If they don't, I know exactly what needs to change. And if they treat you like garbage, then I know even more." Gloria finished her coffee, showered, and dressed simply. Linen blazer, white cotton blouse, dark jeans, small earrings, no rings, no watch, nothing that screamed money. She wanted to look like any regular woman walking into a nice hotel on a Tuesday afternoon. She caught a glance of herself in the bathroom mirror and paused. At 19, she'd cleaned hotel rooms for minimum wage, scrubbing toilets, folding towels so tight the edges could cut paper, tips left on nightstands that sometimes totaled less than $1. She remembered a guest once leaving a note next to 50 cents that read, "Try harder next time." Gloria built her empire from that. From a single bed and breakfast her grandmother left her in a will nobody expected. She turned one property into 3, 3 into 8, 8 into 14. Every negotiation, every loan rejection, every banker who looked at her skin before looking at her numbers. She remembered all of it. Now, she owned 14 hotels. And today, she was about to walk into number 15. The Bellworth Hotel, downtown Charleston, South Carolina. 120 rooms. Rooftop bar with views of the harbor. Known for hosting political fundraisers and society weddings. Old Charleston money loved it. It carried the kind of reputation that whispered exclusivity. Hamilton Sterling had closed the acquisition 3 weeks ago. Quiet deal, no press release yet. The public announcement and staff transition were scheduled for 2 o'clock that afternoon. Gloria's board members were flying in from 3 different cities. Raymond Ellis, the board chairman, had confirmed his arrival by noon. But Gloria wanted to get there first. Alone. At 1:15, exactly 45 minutes before the world found out she owned the place. The Bellworth had one problem Gloria already knew about. His name was Derek Caldwell. Derek was 51, general manager for 6 years. He hadn't earned the job through talent. His family had deep roots in Charleston's old money circles. A cousin on the city council. A college roommate who ran the local chamber of commerce. Derek got hired because he knew the right people, not because he knew how to run a hotel. Gloria's due diligence team had flagged him immediately. Staff turnover under Derek was the highest of any property in the Hamilton Sterling portfolio, 3 times the industry average. Exit interviews told a consistent story. Hostile environment, favoritism, racial comments dismissed as jokes. That Tuesday afternoon, Derek stood in the Bellworth's lobby barking at Tanya Bradshaw, the front desk supervisor. Tanya was 32, mixed race, quietly competent. She'd been at the Bellworth for 4 years and survived by keeping her head down and her mouth shut. "The arrangement on table 6 is wilting," Derek snapped at her. "Do I have to do everything myself?" Tanya nodded and reached for the phone to call the florist. Before she could dial, a white couple approached the concierge desk. Derek's entire body language shifted. Shoulders back, warm smile, voice dropping into a smooth, welcoming tone. "Welcome to the Bellworth. How can we make your stay unforgettable?" Tanya watched the transformation. She'd seen it 1,000 times. One face for certain people, another face for everyone else. She set down the phone and went back to her screen. The guest list for the 2 o'clock event was already loaded. She hadn't looked at it closely yet. She would soon. Gloria's car pulled up to the Bellworth at exactly 1:15. She stepped out onto the sidewalk and took a breath. The hotel smelled like old money. Jasmine climbing the wrought iron balconies, fresh paint on the shutters, a doorman in a pressed uniform standing beneath a green awning. She paused and looked up. 3 stories of antebellum architecture catching the afternoon sun. She could see why Charleston's elite loved this place. The doorman saw her coming, young white kid, maybe 22. He looked at her blazer and jeans, her empty hands, no luggage. His smile flickered. "Afternoon," he said. Not "welcome to the Bellworth," just "afternoon." One flat word. Gloria noted it. She noted everything. Inside, the lobby air was cool and laced with white lilies. Italian marble floors, cream and gray, polished to a mirror shine. Staff moved between tables, adjusting centerpieces and testing microphones for the 2 o'clock event. Gloria's event, though nobody here knew that yet. She approached the front desk. Tanya Bradshaw looked up and smiled, a real smile. "Good afternoon. Welcome to the Bellworth. How can I help you?" "I was wondering about the hotel's history," Gloria said. "I've always admired the building." Tanya's eyes brightened. "Of course. The Bellworth was originally built in 1889 as a—" "Tanya?" The voice came from behind Gloria, sharp, flat. Derek Caldwell crossed the lobby with his hands in his pockets. He moved like a man who owned every square inch beneath him. Italian leather shoes, tailored suit, a watch that cost more than most people's cars. He stepped directly between Tanya and Gloria, his back half turned to Gloria, as if she were furniture. "Don't you have actual work to do? Table 6, the flowers, now." Tanya's smile vanished. She stepped away without a word. Derek turned to Gloria. His eyes moved slowly. Hair, face, blazer, jeans, shoes. He catalogued every detail and found them all lacking. "Can I help you with something?" His tone made it clear that helping her was the last thing he intended.
"I'm interested in booking a room," Gloria said calmly.
"A room?" He repeated it like she'd said something absurd. "Rooms start at $6.50 a night." He watched her face for a flinch. Gloria didn't give him one. "That sounds reasonable. What's available?" Something shifted behind his eyes. She was supposed to look embarrassed. She was supposed to leave. "We're fully booked. Private event. No rooms." A lie. Gloria knew the hotel was at 60% occupancy. 48 empty rooms. She'd reviewed the numbers that morning. "Is there someone else I could speak with?" Derek's jaw tightened. "I'm the general manager. There is no one else." He stepped closer, close enough for her to smell his cologne. "I don't know where you came from, but the Bellworth has a certain standard, a certain clientele. And frankly, you don't fit." A woman at the counter glanced over. A businessman looked up from his phone. They heard. Not one of them spoke. "I'd like to sit in the lobby for a few minutes," Gloria said. "Is that a problem?" Derek grabbed his radio. "Neil, front lobby, now." Officer Neil Dawson appeared in 30 seconds. Hotel security, mid-40s, built like a linebacker, earpiece in, stiff posture. Derek pointed at Gloria. "She's making guests uncomfortable. Get her out." Neil looked at Gloria. Hands at her sides, no raised voice, nothing wrong. "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to step outside." "For what reason?" Neil glanced at Derek. He didn't have a reason. He had an order. "Ma'am, please." Gloria looked past him at the lobby full of people suddenly fascinated by their phones. A mother pulled her daughter closer. A man in gray studied the ceiling. Everyone saw. No one spoke. "Fine," Gloria said quietly. "I'll leave." She turned toward the door. And then Derek moved. He'd been holding a glass of red wine from the catering setup. He stepped into her path. His shoulder caught hers. The glass tilted forward. Dark red wine splashed across her white blouse. It spread in a wide, ugly stain from her chest to her stomach. Cold, soaking through the cotton against her skin. The lobby went completely silent. The catering crew froze. The front desk phone rang twice. No one answered. Derek looked at the stain. He looked at the empty glass in his hand. And then he smirked. "Oops, accidents happen. Maybe next time dress for the occasion." No napkin, no apology. He stood there holding that empty glass, wearing that smirk, waiting for her to disappear. Quick footsteps from behind the desk. Tanya rushed over with a clean white towel. "I'm so sorry," Tanya whispered. Her eyes were wet. "Here, please." Gloria took the towel. She pressed it against the stain. She read Tanya's name tag. "Tanya, thank you." Gloria walked out, past the bellhop who wouldn't meet her eyes, past the guests glued to their phones, into the Charleston heat. She sat on a bench outside. She did not cry. She called Vanessa Cole. One ring. "Gloria, everything okay? Move the board meeting up. Everyone at the Bellworth in 30 minutes. Pull Derek Caldwell's entire personnel file. Have legal prepare termination documents." What happened? "He poured wine on me, Vanessa, in front of the entire lobby. Told me to get my black ass out of his hotel." 3 seconds of silence. Everyone will be there in 25 minutes, Vanessa said. Her voice turned to steel. Gloria hung up. She sat on that bench in the sun, wine-stained and still. Through the glass doors, she could see Derek inside, straightening his tie, laughing with Neil Dawson. He had no idea what was coming. Inside the Bellworth, Derek Caldwell was having the best Tuesday of his life. He stood in the center of the lobby with his hands on his hips, watching the catering crew arrange champagne flutes on a long table draped in white linen. The crystal caught the chandelier light and threw tiny rainbows across the marble floor. Derek adjusted one glass a quarter-inch to the left. Perfection. Neil Dawson walked up beside him. "That woman give you any trouble on the way out?" Derek laughed, a short, sharp bark. "Please, they never do. You just have to be firm. Set the tone early. One gets in, next thing you know, the whole lobby looks like a bus station." He said it casually, the way someone talks about taking out the trash. Neil nodded. He didn't push back. He never did. Derek pulled out his phone and checked his reflection in the dark screen. He smoothed his hair, straightened his tie for the third time. Whatever was happening at 2 o'clock, he wanted to look the part. "You know what this event is about?" Neil asked. "New ownership transition. Some corporate group bought the place 3 weeks ago." Derek waved his hand like he was swatting a fly. "Doesn't matter. Hotels like the Bellworth don't run on paperwork. They run on relationships. And I have every relationship in this city that matters." He believed it. That was the thing about Derek Caldwell. He wasn't pretending. He genuinely believed that his last name and his handshake were worth more than anything printed on a balance sheet. "They'll need me," he said. "Whoever these people are, they'll need someone who knows Charleston, someone the clients trust. I wouldn't be surprised if they offer me an expanded role." He smiled at his reflection. Then he slipped the phone back into his jacket pocket and walked toward the small stage near the back wall. He ran his fingers along the podium, tapped the microphone twice. He was already rehearsing a welcome speech in his head. Meanwhile, in a quiet corner behind the front desk, Tanya Bradshaw was falling apart. Her hands wouldn't stop shaking. She'd locked herself in the small office behind the reception area and closed the door. The fluorescent light hummed above her. The room smelled like printer ink and stale coffee. She'd pulled up the guest list for the 2 o'clock event on her computer. She'd scrolled past the board members, past the legal team, past the PR contacts. And then she saw it. Gloria Hamilton, CEO, Hamilton Sterling Group. Tanya stared at the name. Her mouth went dry. She clicked on the attached bio. Photo, resume, Forbes profile. The woman in the white blouse. The woman Derek had called dirty. The woman with wine dripping down her shirt. That woman was the CEO of the company that now owned the Bellworth Hotel. Tanya pressed her hand over her mouth. Her stomach turned. She thought she might be sick. The log. Tanya had never shown this log to anyone. She had no one to show it to. Derek controlled everything. HR reported to Derek. The previous owners lived in New York and visited once a year. Complaints went into a folder. The folder went into a drawer. The drawer stayed shut. But now there was a name on her screen. Gloria Hamilton. And in approximately 20 minutes, that name was going to walk through the front door. Tanya saved her notes. She locked her phone. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand and walked back out to the front desk. Across town, Gloria Hamilton was putting on a different blouse. She stood in the bathroom of her suite at the Hamilton Sterling property on King Street. The wine-stained white blouse was balled up in the sink. She stared at it for a moment. The red had turned dark brown where it dried. It looked like something violent had happened to it. In a way, it had. She pulled a navy blazer over a fresh cream blouse. She looked in the mirror.
Same face, same woman. But something behind her eyes had shifted. A door had closed. A decision had been made. Vanessa Cole was in the living room, pacing. She had her phone pressed to her ear, firing instructions to Hamilton Sterling's legal team. Her heels clicked against the hardwood in a rapid, angry rhythm.
I want the full termination package ready before we walk in. Cause listed as gross misconduct and discriminatory behavior. No severance, no negotiation. And have someone pull every security camera feed from the Bellworth lobby for the past 6 hours. She hung up and looked at Gloria. Legal's ready. PR has a statement drafted. Raymond's car just pulled up downstairs. Gloria nodded. She clipped on a pair of small diamond earrings, the only jewelry she would wear. Raymond Ellis appeared in the doorway. 62 years old, board chairman, silver hair, navy suit, the kind of face that boardrooms take seriously on sight. He'd run 2 Fortune 500 companies before joining Hamilton Sterling's board. His expression was calm, but his jaw was tight. "Vanessa told me," he said. "I want him gone before I finish my first sentence." Gloria turned from the mirror. "No, I want him to see my face first. I want him to understand exactly who he did this to. And then he's gone. But I want it to happen in that lobby, in front of every person who watched him pour wine on me and did nothing."
Raymond studied her for a long moment. Then he nodded. "Your call. I'm right behind you." At 1:50, 3 black SUVs pulled away from the King Street Hotel. Gloria rode in the second vehicle, Vanessa beside her, Raymond in the lead car with 2 other board members. The legal team followed in the third.
Gloria opened Derek Caldwell's personnel file on her tablet. She scrolled through it in the back seat. The leather interior smelled like new car and Vanessa's perfume. Outside, Charleston's historic district rolled past the tinted windows. Oak trees draped in Spanish moss. Horse-drawn carriages on cobblestone streets. Tourists with cameras. A city that sold its charm to the world while its ugliest truths hid behind closed doors. The personnel file confirmed everything Gloria suspected. 5 formal complaints from staff about racial comments. All 5 investigated internally by the previous management. All 5 dismissed with the note, "No action required." 2 prior incidents with guests of color. One in 2022. A black businessman asked to show ID before being allowed to charge dinner to his room. White guests were never asked. The complaint was filed and buried. Another in 2023. Derek called police on a black wedding party for noise. The party was within hotel guidelines. The police found nothing. Derek never apologized. Gloria closed the file. She set the tablet on the seat beside her. "How far out?" she asked. 4 minutes, the driver said. Gloria looked out the window. A church steeple rose above the rooftops. A bell was ringing somewhere in the distance, low and heavy, counting out the hour. The SUVs turned onto Meeting Street. The Bellworth's green awning came into view. Inside the hotel, Derek Caldwell spotted the vehicles through the lobby windows. 3 black SUVs with tinted glass. His eyes lit up. He snapped his fingers at a passing server. "Stand up straight. They're here." He buttoned his jacket. He squared his shoulders. He walked toward the entrance with his best smile locked in place. The smile he reserved for people who mattered. The first SUV door opened. Raymond Ellis stepped out. Silver hair, navy suit, authority radiating off him like heat from asphalt. Derek extended his hand. "Welcome to the Bellworth. I'm Derek Caldwell, general manager. We're absolutely thrilled to." Raymond looked at Derek's hand. He did not take it. He stepped to the side. The second SUV door opened. A woman in a navy blazer stepped out. Cream blouse, diamond earrings, standing straight, flanked by Vanessa Cole on her left and 2 board members on her right. Derek's hand was still extended, hanging in the air,
waiting for a shake that would never come. He looked at the woman's face. His smile collapsed.
Yo, stop. Hold on. Just imagine this for a sec. You got wine thrown on you, kicked out like you're nobody. Then you roll back up 40 minutes later, and you own the whole damn place.
Look at this man's face right now. Bro is cooked. I can't. Derek's face went through every color a human face can go through in 3 seconds. Red, white, gray. His mouth opened, but nothing came out. His hand dropped to his side like a dead weight. Gloria walked past him without a glance. Her heels clicked across the marble, every step deliberate, every step loud. The lobby had gone dead silent. Even the catering crew stopped breathing. She walked to the center of the lobby and turned to face the room. Staff lined up along the walls, guests froze in their seats. Tanya Bradshaw stood behind the front desk, gripping the counter with both hands. Gloria's voice was clear, calm, the kind of calm that makes people lean forward. Good afternoon. My name is Gloria Hamilton. I am the CEO of Hamilton Sterling Group. 3 weeks ago, my company completed its acquisition of the Bellworth Hotel. She paused, let the words land. Every person in this building now works for me. Silence. Total, suffocating silence. A server near the bar dropped a napkin. It sounded like a gunshot. Derek stumbled forward. His voice cracked on the first word. Ms. Hamilton. Gloria. I had no idea. If I'd known who you were, I would never have... Stop! One word. Gloria didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. That sentence, right there, that's exactly the problem, Mr. Caldwell. She turned to face him fully. He was sweating through his tailored suit. His cologne couldn't cover it. You said, if you'd known who I was. That means everything you did today. Refusing me service, calling security on me, pouring wine on my clothes. You did all of that because of what I look like, not because of who I am. Derek opened his mouth again. Gloria kept going. And I promise you something. I am not the first person you've treated this way in this building. I'm just the first one who came back. She turned to the room. Her eyes swept across every face. If anyone in this hotel has experienced or witnessed discriminatory behavior under Mr. Caldwell's management, I want to hear from you. Right now. In front of everyone. 3 seconds of silence. 5 seconds. 7. Then Tanya Bradshaw stepped out from behind the front desk. Her legs were shaking. Gloria could see it. Everyone could see it. But Tanya walked forward anyway. She held out her phone with both hands. Miss Hamilton, I've been keeping a log. 11 months. 43 incidents. Dates, times, names, everything. Her voice broke on the last word. She steadied herself. I never had anyone to show it to. Until now. Gloria took the phone. She looked at the screen. She scrolled. Her jaw tightened with every entry. Then a second voice, from the back of the lobby. A black woman in a housekeeping uniform stepped forward. Her name tag read, Denise. He called me the help in front of a guest last month. Said I should be grateful I even have a job. A third voice. A Latino man in a valet uniform. Young, maybe 25. He accused me of stealing a guest's watch in February. Made me empty my pockets in the lobby. In front of everyone. The watch was in the guest's room the whole time. He never apologized. A fourth. A black woman from catering. He told me my hair was unprofessional and said I couldn't work the dining room until I fixed it. My hair was in braids. Each voice added weight. Each testimony stacked on top of the last, like bricks building a wall around Derek Caldwell. The lobby had become a courtroom.
and every witness was stepping up to the stand. Gloria handed Tanya's phone to Vanessa. Vanessa was already photographing every entry. Gloria turned back to Derek. He looked smaller now. His tailored suit hung on him like it belonged to someone else. His Italian shoes pointed inward. His hands trembled at his sides. Mr. Caldwell, your employment at the Bellworth Hotel is terminated, effective immediately. You will be escorted from the premises. Your final paycheck will be mailed. Derek's mouth moved. His voice came out thin and desperate. You can't. I have a contract. I'll call my lawyer. You can't just... Please do. Gloria's voice didn't waver. My legal team is standing right behind me. They've been ready since before I walk through that door. She nodded toward the entrance. Raymond Ellis stood with his arms crossed. Beside him, 2 attorneys in dark suits held manila folders. The termination paperwork was already signed. Derek looked at Raymond. He looked at the lawyers. He looked at the staff who wouldn't meet his eyes. He looked at the guests who were now recording on their phones. He had nowhere to go. Gloria turned to Neil Dawson. The security officer stood near the elevator bank, stiff as a statue. His earpiece dangled loose. His face was the color of old paper. Officer Dawson. Neil flinched at his own name. 40 minutes ago, Mr. Caldwell asked you to escort me out of this lobby. You followed that order without question. Gloria paused. Now I'm asking you to escort Mr. Caldwell out. Same lobby, same door. The irony hit the room like a thunderclap. A server near the bar covered her mouth. Tanya looked at the floor. Neil swallowed hard. Is there a problem, Officer Dawson? Neil shook his head. He walked over to Derek. He didn't touch him. He didn't need to. Sir, this way. Derek didn't move at first. His eyes darted around the lobby like a trapped animal looking for an exit that didn't exist. His lips moved, but no sound came out. Sir, Neil repeated. Firmer now. Derek's shoulders dropped. The fight left his body all at once, like air leaking from a tire. He turned and walked toward the side office. Neil followed. Inside, a staff member was already packing Derek's personal items into a cardboard box. A framed photo of Derek shaking hands with the mayor. A leather desk organizer. A coffee mug with "The Boss" printed in gold letters. Small, sad artifacts of a kingdom that never really existed. Derek grabbed the box without looking inside. He walked back through the lobby. The same marble floors, the same chandelier, the same faces. But everything was different now. The bellhop who'd watched him pour wine on Gloria stared straight ahead. The businessman in the leather chair put down his phone. The mother who'd pulled her daughter close now watched Derek pass with a look that sat somewhere between disgust and relief. Derek pushed through the front door. The Charleston heat hit him like a wall. Humidity stuck his shirt to his back instantly. The green awning cast a shadow across his face. He stood on the sidewalk. The same sidewalk where Gloria had sat 40 minutes ago with wine soaking through her blouse. He pulled out his phone and dialed. The previous owner, the man who'd hired him, the man who'd dismissed every complaint, closed every file, kept every drawer shut. Voicemail. He dialed again. A city councilman, his cousin's contact, the man who'd gotten him into every fundraiser and country club in Charleston. I'm sorry, Mr. Caldwell. He's unavailable at the moment. Click. He dialed a third number, a college buddy at the Chamber of Commerce. No answer. Word was already moving through Charleston's circles. Fast and quiet, the way it always does in small cities built on reputation. Derek Caldwell was toxic now, and everyone who'd ever smiled at him across a dinner table knew it. He stood on that sidewalk, holding a cardboard box, his phone going to voicemail, and watched the Bellworth's front door close behind him. Inside, Gloria was shaking hands, She walked to Tanya Bradshaw first. Tanya's eyes were red, her hands still trembling.
Tanya, effective right now, you are the interim general manager of the Bellworth Hotel. Tanya's knees buckled. Vanessa caught her arm. Tanya pressed both hands over her face and sobbed. Not from sadness, from 11 months of silence finally breaking open. Gloria gave her a moment. Then she addressed the entire staff.
No one is losing their job today. Not one person. What's changing is the culture in this building. We will implement a new anonymous reporting system across this property. Every complaint will be reviewed by my office directly, not by a local manager, by me. She paused. I'm going to meet every one of you before I leave today. I want to know your name. I want to know how long you've been here. And I want to know what this hotel can become. She started at the front desk, shook every hand, learned every name, asked questions, and listened to the answers. Vanessa pulled her aside near the elevator. Security footage, the lobby cameras caught everything. The confrontation, the wine, his face when he did it. All of it. Gloria nodded. Preserve every frame. Send copies to legal and to our PR team. Nothing gets deleted. Vanessa made the call. The footage was about to become the most watched hotel security video in American history. The video hit the internet at 9:17 the next morning. Nobody planned it. A Bellworth staff member had recorded the confrontation on their phone from behind the bar. Shaky footage, bad angle, but clear enough to see everything. Derek blocking Gloria's path, the wine arcing through the air, the stain spreading across her white blouse. That smirk. And then, 40 minutes later, Gloria walking back in with her board, and Derek's face melting like cheap candle wax. The staff member posted it on social media with one line. Hotel GM pours wine on black woman. She was his new boss. By noon, it had 2 million views. By 6 o'clock, 8 million. By the end of the second day, 12 million. And climbing. Investigative journalist Christine Moore picked it up first. She worked for a regional outlet in Charleston. She made 3 phone calls that morning. One to Hamilton Sterling's PR team. One to Derek Caldwell's personal number. One to the previous ownership group. Hamilton Sterling's team gave her a statement. Derek's number went straight to voicemail. The previous owners declined to comment. Christine's article dropped at 4 in the afternoon. Headline: Hotel GM pours wine on black woman. She was his new boss. Clean, simple, devastating. National outlets grabbed it within hours. Cable news ran the clip on loop. The freeze frame of Derek's smirk became its own thing. People turned it into memes. They printed it on T-shirts. A comedian on late-night television held it up and said, "This is the face of a man watching his career leave his body." But the video was just the beginning. Hamilton Sterling's legal team launched a formal internal investigation of Derek Caldwell's 6-year tenure at the Bellworth. What they found made the wine incident look like a greeting card, a pattern of discriminatory service stretching back years. Black and brown guests were consistently assigned rooms on lower floors with inferior views. White guests who checked in at the same time got higher floors, better rooms, and complimentary upgrades. The data was in the reservation system. It wasn't hidden. Nobody had bothered to look. Wait times. Black guests waited an average of 14 minutes for check-in. White guests averaged 4. Same front desk, same staff, different treatment. The numbers didn't lie. Late checkout requests. White guests were approved 89% of the time. Black guests, 31%. Same policy, different application. Then the former employees started calling. 3 people who had quit the Bellworth rather than endure Derek's management came forward with written statements. A black concierge who left in 2021 described being told by Derek to tone down the attitude after politely correcting a billing error. A Latina housekeeper who quit in 2022 said Derek referred to the housekeeping staff as the help in meetings and laughed when someone pointed out the term was offensive. A black valet who left in 2023 described being accused of stealing from guest vehicles twice. Both times, the missing items were found elsewhere. Neither time did Derek apologize or correct the record. And then came the wedding incident. In October 2023, a black family booked the Bellworth's rooftop space for a wedding reception. 80 guests, full catering package, paid in full 3 months in advance. At 9:45 that evening, Derek called the Charleston Police Department and reported a noise disturbance. The party was within the hotel's noise guidelines. The contract allowed music until 11. The police arrived, found nothing in violation, and left. But the damage was done. The bride's mother was questioned by officers in front of her guests. The groom's father was asked for identification at his own daughter's wedding. Derek never apologized. The previous ownership group refunded 20% of the booking fee and buried the complaint. The EEOC opened a preliminary inquiry within 72 hours of the video going public. The South Carolina Human Affairs Commission launched its own parallel review. Suddenly, Derek Caldwell wasn't just a viral villain. He was a case study. Gloria's legal team filed a civil suit against Derek personally. 3 counts: assault for the wine, discrimination under federal and state public accommodation laws, creation of a hostile work environment affecting both guests and employees. The former employees filed a separate class action lawsuit against the Bellworth's previous ownership group for enabling Derek's behavior. Negligent supervision, failure to act on documented complaints, deliberate indifference to discriminatory practices. Derek hired an attorney, local guy, Charleston connections. The defense strategy leaked to the press within a week. It was a misunderstanding. Mr. Caldwell did not know who Ms. Hamilton was. Had he known, the interaction would have been entirely different. The statement was supposed to help. It destroyed him. Every news outlet ran the same analysis. If Derek's defense was that he would have treated Gloria differently had he known she was rich and powerful, then he was admitting that his behavior was based on her appearance, on her race. The defense proved the accusation. Christine Moore published a follow-up piece with the headline, "His lawyer just said the quiet part out loud." It got more clicks than the original story. The civil trial lasted 3 days. Gloria testified on the first morning. She wore a cream blouse. She spoke for 40 minutes. She described the lobby, the smell of lilies, the wine hitting her chest, the cold spreading through the fabric, Derek's smirk, the silence of every person watching. She never raised her voice. She never cried. She spoke like a woman reading facts from a page. And that made it worse for Derek, because emotion can be dismissed. Precision cannot. Tanya Bradshaw testified on the second day. She brought her phone. 43 entries, 11 months. She read each one out loud. By the 15th entry, one of the jurors had to ask for a tissue. Denise from housekeeping testified. The valet testified. The catering worker testified. One by one, they walked to the stand and said what they'd been holding inside for years. Derek testified on the third day. His attorney had coached him to show remorse. He tried. He said the words. But his body betrayed him. He fidgeted. He looked at the ceiling when Gloria's attorney asked direct questions. He called the wine incident an unfortunate accident 3 times. Nobody believed him. Not the judge, not the jury, not the cameras. The verdict came on a Friday afternoon. Derek Caldwell was found liable on all 3 counts: assault, discrimination, hostile work environment. The court ordered him to pay $350,000 in damages. The judge also mandated a formal public apology to be delivered in writing and published in 3 regional newspapers. Derek's apology ran the following Monday. 4 paragraphs, clearly written by his lawyer. Stiff, mechanical. The phrase, "I deeply regret any misunderstanding," appeared twice. The internet tore it apart in minutes. Any misunderstanding became a meme of its own. The class action against the previous ownership group settled 2 weeks later. $2.8 million, split among 11 former employees who had documented discriminatory treatment during Derek's tenure. But Gloria wasn't done. She stood in front of Hamilton Sterling's full board the following month and presented a new company-wide initiative. She called it the Bellworth Protocol. Mandatory bias training for every employee across all 14 properties. Anonymous reporting systems with direct oversight from corporate. Quarterly audits of service data broken down by guest demographics. Zero tolerance for discriminatory conduct at any level. 3 competing hotel chains adopted similar programs within 6 months. A National Hospitality Trade Association invited Gloria to keynote their annual conference. She accepted. Tanya Bradshaw stayed on as general manager of the Bellworth, permanently. Under her leadership, staff satisfaction scores tripled in 6 months. Guest reviews climbed from 3.8 stars to 4.6. Turnover dropped by 60%. The Bellworth became the best performing property in the Hamilton Sterling portfolio. 1 year later, Gloria Hamilton walked through the front doors of the Bellworth Hotel. Same revolving door, same marble lobby, same chandelier throwing golden light across the floor. But the air felt different now. Lighter. The scent of fresh gardenias had replaced the white lilies. New flowers for a new era. A young black woman stood behind the front desk. She looked up and smiled wide.
Welcome to the Bellworth, ma'am. How can I help you today?
No hesitation, no scanning her clothes, no measuring her worth with a glance. Just warmth. "I'm just here to sit for a bit," Gloria said, "if that's okay." "Of course. Make yourself at home. Can I get you some tea?" Gloria smiled. "That would be lovely." She sat in a leather chair near the window. The same lobby, the same spot where wine had soaked through her blouse and dripped onto marble. She crossed her legs and watched the room move. A black family checked in at the front desk. A Latino couple asked about the rooftop bar and got directions with a genuine smile. A white businessman held the elevator door for a black woman carrying a garment bag. Small moments, ordinary kindness, the way it should have always been. Tanya Bradshaw came around the corner, carrying a clipboard. She saw Gloria and stopped. Her clipboard dropped to her side. She walked over fast and wrapped Gloria in a hug that lasted 5 full seconds. "You look good behind that desk," Gloria said. "You gave me the chance," Tanya said. Her voice was thick. "I'll never forget that." They sat together for 10 minutes. Tanya talked about the new staff training program she'd built from scratch, about the anonymous reporting system that had already caught and corrected 2 minor incidents before they became patterns, about the young housekeeper she'd promoted to floor supervisor last month. "She reminds me of me," Tanya said. "Quiet, keeps her head down, does the work. She just needed someone to see her." Gloria nodded. "That's all any of us need." Her tea arrived in a white porcelain cup. She held it with both hands and watched the steam curl upward. 1 year ago, she'd sat on a bench outside this building with wine staining her shirt and fury burning in her chest. Now she sat inside it, drinking tea, surrounded by a staff that treated every guest like a human being. That was the whole point.
That was always the whole point. Derek Caldwell was not in Charleston anymore. After the verdict, his name became unsearchable in the hospitality industry. Every Google result led back to the video. The smirk, the whine, the freeze frame of his face when Gloria stepped out of that SUV. No hotel in South Carolina would interview him. No hotel in the Southeast would return his calls. He moved to the Midwest, found a mid-level sales position at a building supply company. He sold drywall and ceiling tiles to contractors. No lobby, no chandelier, no Italian leather shoes, just a gray cubicle and a phone that rang with orders, not reservations. The narrator doesn't gloat about this. There's no satisfaction in watching a man lose everything. But there is a lesson. Choices have weight. Words have cost. And cruelty doesn't expire just because you forgot about it. The Bellworth incident didn't stay inside the Bellworth. It rippled outward. Charleston City Council passed a resolution calling for bias training across all hospitality businesses receiving city tourism funding. The South Carolina Human Affairs Commission cited the case in 3 subsequent discrimination investigations. 2 national hotel chains rewrote their guest service policies after their own internal audits revealed similar patterns. Gloria didn't set out to start a movement. She set out to buy a hotel. But sometimes justice doesn't wait for permission. Sometimes it just needs one person to walk back through the door. So here's what I want to ask you. Have you ever been in that lobby? Not as Gloria, not as Derek, but as one of the people sitting in those chairs, watching it happen, saying nothing. What would it take for you to stand up? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every single one. And listen, if this story hit you somewhere real, share it. Send it to someone who needs to hear it. Someone who's been Gloria. Someone who's been Tanya. Someone who might be sitting in that lobby right now, trying to decide whether to speak or stay silent. Like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. But remember this, justice isn't always about punishment. It's not about watching someone lose their job or pay a fine. Real justice is about what changes after. It's about systems that get rebuilt. It's about the Tanya Bradshaws, the ones who kept a log for 11 months with no one to show it to. The ones who handed over that phone with shaking hands. The quiet ones who chose to speak when it cost them something. That's the real story. Not the whine, not the smirk, not the verdict. The real story is the person who decided to stop being silent. Yo, this story's fake, but be real. You ever been in that lobby? Not Gloria. Not Derek. The one who just sat there? Yeah, that part should hit different. Now drop a comment. What would you have done? And smash that subscribe. I'll catch you next time.